Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's NBA Sharp Betting Breakdown here on the Advantage Sports Betting Podcast. I am your host, Michael Fiddle. Today is Thursday, February 27th. We have a 5-game NBA slate to break down. And to be totally transparent before we start this thing, I woke up about 6 minutes ago. You know when you have those days where you go to sleep and then you wake up and you still feel like I woke up and I felt like it was, 10 p.m. and I was about to I still had 12 hours before the show and I didn't even feel like I slept overnight. I feel like I'm in such a weird place right now. I'm going to bring in professional poker player Drew Johnson. Drew, do you know what I'm going through when you just don't really feel like you even slept through the night and then you wake up and you look at the clock and you're like, wait, is it the night before still? Is it the morning of? Do I need to get up right now? Oh shit, I need to get up right now.
Yeah, this used to happen to me a lot when I worked construction a decade ago, where it was just like you go to bed, you're dead tired, long day, right? 10:30 p.m., something like that. You got to be up at 4:30, 5 o'clock a.m. You wake up, it's still the same lighting as outside, and you're just like, oh, it must be like I probably fell asleep for like an hour. And you look at your phone and you're like, God damn it, I'm already late.
So I did cap these games a lot last night, so I feel in a pretty comfortable place to go through them. I will say, I did say that Bronny was going to be on the stream today. I sent out a bunch of scheduled tweets last night, and I said, Bronny will be on the stream. So I will go get my girl dog named LeBron, and bring her onto the show at some point today and make a big debut. The reason why I didn't do it yesterday was because I was wearing Christmas pajamas on the stream. And to be totally transparent, we got dogs on sleds today.
Nice.
So it's not snowmen, different set of Christmas pajamas, dogs on the sleds. Let me share the FanDuel odds screen as we work through today's 5-game card, Drew. And it starts with the Golden State Warriors taking on the Orlando Magic. We have a 5-point spread here on the Magic as home underdogs against the Warriors. Obviously, the Warriors taking a massive power rating bump since acquiring Jimmy Butler. If this game were a few weeks ago, we're looking at like damn near a pick'em, maybe Magic +1 in this new iteration of the Magic with Franz and Paolo back and no Jimmy on the other side. But now that you get Jimmy Butler, you see this Warriors offense seemingly unlocked a little bit. He's making beautiful backdoor cuts. He's getting to the line. He's giving more space for a guy like Steph Curry. He's handling the usage rate during all of the clutch time. So look for the Warriors to be kind of a dangerous team. I think this is a resounding Magic spot, Drew. And we were talking last night when we were going through the caps. We were like, Magic plus 5.5. Do we play Magic plus 5.5? It would end up moving to Magic +6. And I was like, well, good thing I didn't do that. Now it's come crashing back the other way where 4.5s are on the board. There's a 1 remaining. Magic plus 5.5 at Caesars, -115 that is juiced out. But pretty much you see juiced 5s and even 4.5 on the card. So a Magic sharp spot that is developing on this slate, Drew. And an over spot in the total. I like the over more, but any thoughts spread related here, Magic Warriors?
I just think this is a longer one for the Magic at home. Some of these losses that they've taken recently where they've gotten blowout have been on the road. And I just think that they're a better team at home, likely. Kind of been playing that way most of the season, even when they didn't have Paolo and Franz. This is just off the top of my head. I don't actually have numbers to back up what I'm saying right now, but that's kind of how I felt about it. Also a get right spot for the Magic, right? Like they've not played well very consistently over the past, I guess we could say almost a month now. Like really since Paolo's been back, they've probably been under 500 since then. And their losses look terrible, right? However, they kind of match up well against this Warriors team. Certainly they have more size. They have some decent perimeter defenders to throw at them. I think Butler has a good game. given that he can pick apart their defense a little more than the average NBA player, the average even star, like just his basketball IQ. But with that said, I do think that this we see the total being this low. Magic on the good side of a key number at 5, even still the +5. I like that spot, but I also do like the over even more. I think I've played half a unit on the Magic right now at +5.5, and I think I have a full unit on the over at over 209.
I think that's completely well played. Over is definitely the spot, and I would still play this over at 210.5. I'll check on the board and
There's
see where the
211.5s popping up as we're speaking right now.
Yep, 210.5 Circa, 211.5 DraftKings MGM, 210.5 Caesars, 211.5 Bookmaker, 211 the offshores, Bet365, 211.5. So definitely 210.5 would be the best available number at Caesars Sportsbook. You could still play the -110, or if you're in a place that has Circa, you could play it there as well, but definitely still like the over. Drew, a lot of the reason why I like the over in this spot is because of the free throw rate that I expect in this game.
Yeah.
Jimmy has increased the Warriors' ability to get to the line, and Paolo, who I just looked up while you were talking, Paolo's 10-15 in his 25 games played for the Magic this year. He's not been like, they just haven't been good enough with him. But he gets to the line relentlessly too. So I expect Paolo to get to the line. I expect Jimmy to get to the line. I expect points scored with a, clock that's stopped. So anytime you're getting high free throw rates, it's generally an over situation. And that's where I expect to happen in this game. Zizzle says over 210 -114 on Bet Rivers. Yes, that would be pretty much equivalent to the 210.5 -110 at Caesars. Peasy says, Magic stink. I wouldn't dare put my hard-earned money on those guys. Sometimes shitty teams cover spreads, and sometimes bad teams don't cover spreads. Darren says, the Magic can't shoot a quarter into the ocean. Warriors cover.
The chat is against us today.
Yeah, I honestly, us in the chat are always on the same team.
Yes.
It's us versus the books. We're trying to take their house money. We're never competing against each other. So we are always on the same side as the chat. I would go a step further and just tell the chat to be careful with Warriors today. If you don't want to back Magic, I don't have a Magic ticket right now, but if you don't want to back Magic, I don't think that's necessarily a reason to back the Warriors, let's say. Playing a 5-road favorite against a tough Orlando Magic team while you're still integrating a new main piece in Jimmy Butler. It's a pricey number to pay. Mo Money says, where is the dog? She will be back. Or Battling says, where is the dog? She will be out later today. Cedric says, I used to feel that way, but I stopped drinking and now I'm okay in regards to sleeping in the afternoon, waking up and thinking, is it actually the morning? Drew, I think you know this pretty clearly. You can count the amount of drinks I've had in the last 2 years, probably on one hand. It is not a drinking thing. Why I had a blip where I woke up a little bit too late. Move to 211 right here on the screen, Drew.
Yep. Makes sense.
All right, let's talk about the Denver Nuggets versus the Milwaukee Bucks. A spread at 3.5 on the Denver side, a total at 240.5. There was middle discrepancy on the board live at the same time during this open last night, as it opened at 241.5. Some places 238.5. Others, Drew, I did not have access to the books that had 238.5. That was internationally and offshores and books that I don't use anymore. I think it was PointsBet, which is the old version of Fanatics. Fanatics bought out PointsBet and then took their interface and made it their app. Fanatics now sucks. I used to like PointsBet. Fanatics is now absolute Swiss cheeks, and PointsBet was laying a good line that I was like, I wish I could have played that, but it is now Fanatics here in the States. So was not able to play the middle. I chose to play the under 241.5, just one direction. And since I was only going to play it one direction without having that middle working for me already. Simply played it for 1 unit towards the under. It is now a full point lower at 240.5. I still think it has room to go under. It is shaded a little bit under on the market, like Caesars laying a minus 115 to the under, bookmaker laying a minus 111 to the under. So 240.5 shaded a little bit under. I do think this still has a little bit more room to drop. We might get the news later today that Giannis has been completely removed from the injury report or any type of minutes restriction, but I think that is priced in and known to the market, so I don't think that's going to pop the number at all. And then I just look at this and I say both teams have the necessary defensive parts to stop the other team's best punch, right?
Yeah.
So like the combination of Giannis and Lopez or Giannis and another bit, it's like that's what you want on Jokic. That's what the Timberwolves did last year, where they put Gobert on him and had Cat slide over, or Cat on him and Gobert sliding over. So you had two bigs to throw at Jokic as he started making his way down to the paint, and you would let him operate around the 3-point line. So I would assume that's what the Bucks are going to try to invoke tonight. On the other end, like Aaron Gordon is one of the more apt players to actually stop Giannis in the league. So look for that. And Aaron Gordon to play some big minutes. He's been also on a minutes restriction and ramping back up. So this would be a spot maybe you expect AG to play 30 plus minutes. I would look towards his over on props. I saw like 8.5 rebounds plus assists hanging out there for AG at plus money. That would be interesting. If we get word that he's not on any minutes restriction, because I think he played 24 last game, then this would definitely be a spot to pick up some Aaron Gordon stuff. But under, I do think is still actionable at the 240.5. Any opinions? Side total. Nuggets seemingly taking a little bit of steam as well.
Yeah, I picked up a Nuggets ticket at -3, -110, -4s, mostly across the board. There's a -3.5, -110 at ESPN Bet still. Everywhere else is juiced on the -3.5 to -115, -116 I'm seeing there. I would still play that. I think this Denver team matches up well against Milwaukee. I know Milwaukee's been playing better recently, won more games, even covering spreads and whatnot. But I think Denver's a considerably better team than Milwaukee. I know Milwaukee's at home, but Denver rounding into form, in my opinion, other than that one Lakers loss, which is a team they've always had trouble with, even though they swept them last year. Those games were always close. And now with Luka on the Lakers and LeBron and Luka to pick apart the defenses. And then they have Austin Reeves that you can just throw the ball to as well to create a shot for himself if need be on the back end of a shot. Like, I'm sure we're going to talk about the Lakers a lot more throughout this the remainder of the season. However, the Denver Nuggets probably going to take this one, and I think unless there's some shooting variance, that this game is going to be more defensively oriented, certainly inside, and so that speaks to our under. And I like the Denver Nuggets still here, -3.5, getting in front of that 4 and that 5 key number.
Denver is an actual contender.
Yes.
Milwaukee's like trying to be a contender. Like Milwaukee's going to be dangerous and going to be a tough out, but I don't think we actually think Milwaukee's the class of Boston or Cleveland.
It depends.
And like maybe the Knicks could even outrightly beat Bucks in a series. But then
I think so.
If Bucks went up against, I know that Bucks won the NBA Cup, but if Bucks went up against OKC, I don't think anyone's taking them in a series there either. So it's just like Bucks are shaded slightly below contender, which is why you see Nuggets road favorites at Milwaukee. Bobby Portis is not going to move the line enough. Giannis playing 32, 34 minutes versus 36, 38 is not going to move this line enough. Dame being fully healthy and not listed as probable with a hamstring is not going to move this line enough. So we are getting a market sign and just a number from the board that just says loudly, Nuggets are the better team. So Under for me, some Nuggets steam in the market. I think it's well priced though. Did you think anything was actionable on the spread? Sorry, I didn't.
The spread, yeah, I would still, if you can find the -3.5, -110, -112, I would take that. I don't know if I like paying -115, -116 for it.
So best line is this -114 at FanDuel. So skip it for now. You could always come back to it. Like there's always a chance that you could, and even if you're playing -4 later, Drew, like then you're at that point, you're also taking information from market as well.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you play a worse number, you're also gaining information. So it's not always the end all be all. There's times where you're willing to forego a good number to have said information, right?
Yeah, honestly, you could definitely just drop a unit on the money line or even a unit and a half on the money line for Denver on this one too, in my opinion. Just for some insurance there. There's some -160s, -165, a -156 at Bet Rivers there. So if you don't want to worry about the points and you don't want to be steam chasing as much, you can definitely do that as well.
I just saw an offshore take a move on Magic +5. And so it just does seem that money continues to come in on Orlando in that first game that we were talking about. And someone did drop a great comment. Back in that mode, Franz under. Drew, can you pull up BetStamp on the side and just check if Franz points under is still 25.5 -120 at DraftKings? That was something that I played last night. I believe I even tweeted that one out, not even just put it in the WHOP.
Under 25.5. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
-125 now. So still actionable.
So 5 cents. Yeah,
still
actionable. Cents. Franz under in that game against the Warriors, despite thinking it's an over spot. 26 points for Franz in a 2-11 game does feel a bit too much, and it does track with the rest of market, early movements, his player averages, the defensive assignments that should be on him. So like Franz under back in that mode, he'll be cashing one ticket today. A Franz under at minimum. All right. The Charlotte Hornets play the Dallas Mavericks, a spread at 9.5 -108 here at FanDuel, a total at 225. I believe this spread opened between 9.5, 9, and some 10, even 10.5 at certain points. Drew has been saying there is no spread that can get long enough when trying to fade the Charlotte Hornets. Do we have a slight caveat that you're adding?
Williams is back, and he might be upset about not being on the Lakers. And I know that his props are currently priced a point or two higher than his typical averages.
Okay, so, wait. Sidebar, I was just pulling up the injury reports for this stuff. If we go back to Golden State Orlando real quick, Ian has in Mac McClung. Is Ian trolling us? Mac McClung, okay, he might be active, Ian, but Mac McClung's not going to play more than 3 minutes where he deserves to be on an injury report. Mac McClung. That was funny to see. All right, let me pull up the injury report for this actual game. Go ahead, Drew. Sorry to cut you off. I was just like, there's no way I'm actually seeing McClung here listed.
Yeah, I just think that's an X factor in this game. Personally, I have, what do I have? 2/3 of a unit on a -9.5, actually juiced higher than it currently is. I'm just a little concerned that Charlotte just might have a couple of extra looks with him in the lineup. Nurkic isn't the same type of center as he is. That pick and roll with Mark Williams and LaMelo Ball works a lot better than anything that they can run with Nurkic.
100%.
So I also think, is it like, can we say something about LaMelo Ball showing up for a game against Kyrie Irving, right?
Why?
Because Kyrie Irving is probably one of his favorite players throughout, even when before he was in the league. It's kind of a marquee point guard matchup, and he gets up for those. He's also had two or three terrible shooting games in a row, and it's probably he's probably due to go the other way a bit, right?
Yeah, I think LaMelo playing was a reason why this line came back down when it was shaded to 10.5 to 9.5. Like LaMelo is going to play. I was going to wonder, Drew, if the caveat that you were going to say with Charlotte Hornets can't be faded enough is that dependent on LaMelo Ball playing versus not playing? Because there's still going to be a handful of games where he's not playing, but it seems like you're like, no, fade LaMelo even when, because it's still going to be priced into the spread.
Yeah, honestly, he's played in the last 2 games, I think, and only scored like 10 or 12 points in each game, something like that.
I think he missed the one against the Warriors. Yeah, his last game was Sacramento. Dude, even in his last 2 or 3 games or last 4 games that LaMelo's actually played in, the Hornets have scored 88, 189 points. So yeah, LaMelo's not too much of a catalyst for this team where it actually makes a sizable difference, but he did miss the game versus Golden State on the second night of a back-to-back because LaMelo's not going to be playing on second nights of back-to-backs, and that was priced in because the opening line was 16.5 for that game. Golden State would still cover it.
Yeah.
Still
with
take
ease
and close at 17.5. So
like a zero sweat cover, if I recall correctly, where they were up
sweat, like
20
up, like,
within within 20 minutes. They were up 20.
There has been some overaction seemingly on this Hornets Mavericks games. I do think it tracks with patterns that have been happening in the betting market. There's definitely been a little bit of an over sentiment on Charlotte Hornets stuff the last few games. There has been a late wave of under Dallas money that has come in on their last few games. So I'm not surprised to see some early Charlotte over money come in. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some late Dallas under money come in. I do think the number's fair and it makes it a bit tricky and probably just worth staying away. But those are things worth noticing. Who's taking steam at what times of these markets? Is it worth playing into? Do you want to get ahead of it? Do you want to come the other direction in between or after one of the moves? So always be aware of those things. Point them out to me. Let me know what you see. Message me and say, yo, Fiddle, I've noticed that the Pelicans are taking or being faded 4 games in a row. Like, let me know those things. I want to point them out. If I haven't recognized them myself, then let's work together and beat the books. Because again, even though the chat might like Warriors tonight and Drew and I like the Magic tonight, we are all still trying to beat the bookies together. And any disagreement that we have is like a dumb argument between a person and their girlfriend that like doesn't actually matter and that everyone should just get over it and get back on the same page for the health of everybody. So Drew, this Warriors total has even gone up to 211.5 now. So live on the show, a full point of CLV if you played that early. And if you played it from the WHOP, 2 points of CLV. And remember, I forgot to say this because when I woke up and started the show, it was about 4 minutes after I opened my eyes, that if you want access to all of the picks, you should join our WHOP channel. It is $100 a month. We refund the entire month, or we give the entire next month in free credit if we ever do have a losing month. We have a lot of consistency in beating the closing line and feel that leads to good results. And it really has. Drew, since the start of December, plus 35, plus 36 units. It has been a great run through December, through January, through February. So I don't even want to look towards just the All-Star break and go, yeah, plus 4 point whatever units, 4.6 units since All-Star break, or plus 8 units month to date, or plus 20 units in jet. Like it has been a good run since the beginning of December. So let's hope that this continues. We got a few more months of the NBA season to continue to crush, which will roll on with the Pelicans versus the Suns. Drew, we have won the Pelicans' most recent 2 games, betting them ATS or money line, and they have come through with us, coming back from 17 twice.
Yeah.
And ending up beating the Spurs. So now they go on the road after 2 home wins against a Spurs team where they were beating up on a second half depleted team, even though they were down a big chunk early, and would end up pulling it off. So Pelicans come into this game kind of a little bit lucky and maybe a little bit overrated in a sense based on their recent performances. The Phoenix Suns, on the other hand, everyone is just so down on the Phoenix Sun. People started to get off the train. I would say people are getting off the Suns train. People are getting off the 76ers train. And we will reflect back in about 3 weeks and say, was that at the right time? Or was that a little too early? Or certainly just way too fucking late? Right? 76ers ended up covering yesterday. Let's see what the Suns could do. This is a prime Suns cover spot. When me and Drew were capping yesterday, I sent to Drew, Suns -6.5. And he's like, please don't do it. Because why do you tell me please don't do it? Because I assume this is why. You were going to tell me if I did it.
Yeah.
And you were like, I just don't want to have to do that.
Do it.
Nobody wants to bet on the Buns to cover a spread, but it is going out to 8 -112. So it would be nice to hold a 6.5 ticket. But even on the Suns, if you're holding a 6.5 ticket, you know it's going to be frustrating as fuck. It's going to come down to a fourth quarter where it's very sweaty, and you're probably going to come out on the losing end holding a Suns ticket these days. So we did not do it, but this is a Suns or nothing type of spot.
Yeah, I'm interested to find the resistance point here. Like if we get out to a 9, I'm definitely taking a bit of the 9 for sure. I don't know if it'll get there though. There's 8.5s in some spots, -105 for the Pelicans at Caesars right now, actually. That's intriguing. But I want that 9. If I see a 9, I'm grabbing it. I'll tell you that right now.
I think it might actually get there. Circa's at 8.5 right now. Offshores are 8 -115 on the Sun side. It might get there. Like it actually, or you might get a cheap 8.5, but
I would love it if I had listened to you and grabbed a -6.5 and then could play it back double at the
this would be the textbook example where you were playing into early line movement just to fade it later and reverse engineer the middle the other direction.
It's just been so long since I've had to think about a line like that because the market has been really, really sharp recently, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's anytime you're running positive on a lot of good numbers, you could say that the market's been pretty efficient as of late. Some of the late moves have been a little frustrating with last second changes and numbers that if you're betting into the early markets, you're probably doing well. If you're betting into like the midday and late stuff, it's been a little bit frustrating, things that I've been tracking recently in both regards. But yeah, at this point in this market where you're not still having a 6.5, please don't play the Suns -8.
No, do not.
Drew and I being unable to swallow Suns -6.5. Yes, we have gotten the indication from the board that our eyes were correct. Our numbers were correct. Our thought process was correct. But if we couldn't stomach a 6.5, we sure are not stomaching a 8. Hell no. We got some good comments in the chat. I will hit them after Timberwolves versus the Lakers. A game where LA is -6, -112. Very surprising for me to see. This is the most surprising one to see on the board, Drew. Open was Lakers -3.5. Total was 223, and we are seeing it now to 228. So my first inkling is like Gobert has to still be out, right? Yeah, so DiVincenzo and Edwards questionable, probable LeBron James out, Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert. So based on line movement alone, this is Gobert from probably out or questionable to definitely out. And probably not even the best sign for Anthony Edwards in this game with the move out to 6, but the move up to 228 screams more Gobert stuff to me than anything else in line with the Lakers team. So sometimes you could correlate those and try and understand line moves and injury reports. You could even look at timestamps of these moves with reporting and say, when did the report drop? When did the line move? Are they very correlated? Are they, 5 minutes after the other one? Okay, you have your answer about why something happened. Back in that mode, is he like the prop whisperer? Because he came on yesterday or earlier today and he said, Franz under, which was something that I played and gave out the WHOP.
Mm-hmm.
I also played Anthony Edwards points, rebounds, assists under 41. Oh, I tweeted all these out. No wonder this information has been slightly made public by me, and therefore it's not too surprising to see someone agree with me. Mo Money says, I will never bet on the Suns or against the Pistons ever again. I think having those no bet lists need to be thrown out, Mo Money. You're too smart to have no bet lists. We will bet anything. We will bet any team against the spread. We will fade any team against the spread. We will bet any over. We will bet any under. We will bet any player prop in either direction. We'll bet a future if that's what it takes. If there is money to be made and plus EV tickets to be had and situations where it is certain that the expected hit rate exceeds the implied probability, then yes, those are good bets. Drew, were you looking up something? I saw you go into action mode.
I was interested in the LeBron James assists under, but it is juiced now to like minus 150, minus 145. So I don't pay that kind of juice.
The Lakers definitely handed the keys to Luka Doncic over the last few games.
Yeah,
so that's
it
really
very
why.
clearly.
PZ says, I'm personally on a Suns and 76ers diet. Now, if you could hop in a time machine, PZ, and go back in time and actually be on a fade the Suns and 76ers all-you-can-eat buffet, that would be the best thing. But I don't mind being on a Suns and 76ers diet. You could say Drew and I are on a Suns and 76ers diet too, because we probably should have played the Suns tonight. We probably should have played the 76ers yesterday and they covered. So it's okay. But like, I wouldn't outrightly say a no bet situation if I was given a great number. Kid Bean says Pistons are going to surprise a lot of people in the playoffs. They could play at a slow pace and fast pace. Yeah, Kid Bean, that is something that we have been talking throughout the season, that the Pistons starkly changed from a half-court team that could slow you down and play some half-court defense to a team that can run space and shoot and throw up points. And it's really funny that happened when Jaden Ivey went out. Like, they were a half-court defensive team with Jaden Ivey, and then they lost another ball handler and speed demon, and they ended up getting faster and more offensive. I think that's because they surrounded Cade with a little bit more shooting, so there was a little more floor spacing out here, but it's a very astute point. It is a very, very astute point. Momani says, I like that terminology. I think it's running the diet in terms of who you're actually betting on. Okay. Anything else that we need to discuss, Drew?
I'm looking at LeBron James over 3-pointers. 2.5. I like that. It's plus 155. With the way that
barking?
Oh no, I don't. You want me to? I'm talking about this. You can go get her if you want. Make her appearance. So, with the keys being handed to Luka, with Luka running the offense a lot in that high post, backing down smaller players and whatnot, we've seen LeBron have his guy sag off of him more because Luka is just such a threat, especially when they're running that sort of two-man ISO on the one side. I don't know if you guys saw the clip of the recreation of what was what's that movie? The one with Will Ferrell in the basketball film. God, I can't. The name escapes me. Anyways, where they're just passing it from the outside to the inside, back and forth, over and over again. LeBron and Luka did that the other night, and it just gets LeBron open for these threes, and he knocks them down at this point in his career at about the same. There she is. There she is. He knocks them down at this point in his career at about the same clip as Curry, maybe a little less, but certainly on wide open ones, he has been money. And with him playing off ball more, I really like the over on his 3-pointers tonight. 2.5 plus 155. There she is. Semi-pro. Thank you, Chris. is the movie. You saw that clip too, Mike, I assume, eh? Where LeBron and Luka were just passing the ball back and forth on the right side of the.
So I need to see it, but I did see it starting to circulate that there was a crossover clip between the Will Ferrell semi-pro moment, Jackie Moon shout out, and LeBron and Luka. But no, I have not seen it yet.
I think we've got it actually. Hang on. Here we go.
Truly is a showman.
No, change my mind. Right back, though. Okay. Right back to you. Okay. Give it back again. You got it? No, right back. No, huh? Yeah. Oh, sure? Yeah. Right back. Come on now. No. Do it. Right back. Do it, Jack. Throw it to Pop. Go. No, right back out. Right. Right back. Right back. Here you go, Jack. Back to you. You ready? Okay. Right back.
I hope they do that on repeat for 4 years.
It's such a good play. Like, look, if you watch that play in depth, I watched it live, and like, how is LeBron's man coming away? And then Luka, they commit to the double as Luka fades to the corner, and he just does that behind the head pass on the money to LeBron. And if LeBron's that open from three at this point, he's making it. Like he just is. It's probably like a 60% shot when no one's within 10 feet of him, but he just never has to shoot them, right? Never before has LeBron had more wide open shots than this in his entire career.
You see the passes that Luka's throwing on hit-aheads to get LeBron easy dunks. Drew, we have another former player here in the chat. So we've had a lot of Michael Jordan showing up. Say hello to Chris Humphries. Kim Kardashian's ex-husband. Good to see you here. I actually used to have Chris Humphries' phone number in my...
Oh, yeah, because you would have been working for them at the time.
I was working for the Nets while Hump was there. We were friendly.
Nice.
I got on the Humphries. So Humphries got my number on the day before my birthday. So there was some reason why we were it was at like a Nets practice one time, and I was talking to him, and something came up that it was my birthday the next day, and he was like, "Oh, dude, what?" And we were having a good conversation, and he was like, "Oh, dude, what's your number?" And so I gave him my number, and he texted me the next day, and he's like, "Yo, Mike, happy birthday."
Oh,
and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. Thank you, Chris." And then honestly, from there, Drew, for the next like 2-3 years, I don't get the text messages anymore. I would get Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Oh, so you got the group text.
I was on the group text.
Nice.
BCC'd where like I didn't see who else was on the group text, but I would get a one individual text. And I eventually made it into my phone to Uncle Fred because it was when I was in college and people saw my phone light up with Chris Humphries and they were like, knew that I worked for the Nets and they were like, dude, let me get his number. And
oh
like,
my God. No.
And I'm like, dude, no.
That's not how that works. Come on now.
Not that cool to get Happy Thanksgiving from a fucking BCC number.
It's like, that's a nice story.
Yeah,
right?
I have other
That's
cool stories,
right?
but yeah, please don't actually do anything with that phone number.
Yeah.
All right. So in terms of actionable angles on today's card, I would still say it's just the under 240 here on Bucks Nuggets. And I will look at the Warriors total real quick. 211.5, 212 everywhere. Probably done with that if you missed the 210.5 at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, I would say
maybe play it smaller if you want something at 211.5, but we're very price sensitive.
I mean, it's going to 212 at DraftKings already, 212 at Circa. You could there's still value here, actually. If you can find a 211.5 minus 110, take that for like a half unit or something like that. Maybe a third of a unit at this point, seeing it's already jumped 2.5 points, but it's probably going to 212.5 or so, maybe even higher than that before tip. I will say, it looks like the Lakers Minnesota game has found its resistance point at 229 at DraftKings. Minus 108 is available right now. Looking back at some of the line movement, it seems like sharper books have gone to 229 and now have gone back to 228.5, 227.5 in some spots. Just something to keep an eye on there.
Do you want to answer this question we get from Kid B? And what about a Warriors Mavs parlay?
I would say almost exclusively no, especially now that the lines have moved. And obviously the line is still seems like it's moving towards Orlando, and it looks like it's stopped with the Lakers. However, this is one of those times where if you can get the right odds, which is tough to do on something like that, because these games are spaced so far and you could hedge back or play back a number off the first win. But at the same time, you could still just play it straight and then double your money into the Lakers one later, right? So like the answer is no, 99% of the time.
To stack two money line favorites together and put them in parlay. Drew said nice things at the beginning, Kid Bean, but he got there at the end. The answer is no, 99% of the time. So you could try and figure out if this was a 1% example difference. Okay. That is going to do it for today's show. Thank you to Drew for being here, being ready. What's up? Oh, BETSTAMP shot.
Buddy.
I'm tireder than a Kid Bean out here.
Yep.
Is Kid Bean after Kobe?
No problem, kid.
Those are the dog bone pajamas.
Love it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the one shot for BETSTAMP segment, which we do at the end of every show, and I generally make it every single time. I'm 2 for 3 this week. Let's see if we can get a week where I'm shooting above a 50% clip on balls with random weird growths on a metal rim that's very unforgiving with an audience in front of me that I can't make sure I don't hit. And if I make the shot, we will share my odds screen, which is the BETSTAMP Pro odds screen, and we will find a long shot to use together. We had an amazing moment on the show yesterday when Drew was saying where a line was, and I said, oh, I think it's different. And he's like, no, I see it right here on my phone. And I said, let's see if this is one of those moments where my odds screen is updating faster than your actual Caesars website and app. And then he said, oh, wait a minute. Started to smile a little bit. He goes, yep, it just moved. And so the power of an odds screen is having these information and these edges as fast as possible. And the time is a real race, and these edges get dried up. So you need to know that the information is there fast. And BETSTAMP sometimes is even faster than the odds screen, than the books. So let's make this jumper. Let's find a good bet that we like. Drew normally has some eyes on some long shots, and knows
already
it's going to be something that's going to be a good one to make. I think he sees something for Bronny. 0 for 1. Also, I shot that one right on the lump, so that one came out really weird. This one straight cash, homies.
This not going good today.
Just like
what happens when you wake up.
I suck at basketball, but I can lock you down on defense. Okay, that is going to do it for today's show. Thank you to Drew for being here, being ready to go, and not mattering that I was showed up here about 2 minutes before we were about to start. Thank you to everyone for tuning in and bearing with me through my morning woes as I was really tired. I apologize. I'll be up for, an hour before tomorrow's show, prepping and bringing some heat. We will be live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, breaking down all games on the Friday card, and then we generally get into some Friday shenanigans. So let's share the plays for today and review them in full. We have 7 bets on today's card, and it is Zion Williamson over 6.5 rebounds, half a unit. Franz under 25.5 points. Jackson Hayes for a double-double. That was a fun plus EV long shot. If you think I was going to make the BETSTAMP segment, it might have been a Jackson Hayes double-double. Anthony Edwards under 41.5 PRA. Naz Reid under 24.5 points plus assists. All a bunch of small props that I hit last night because I didn't really like much on the card, but it was Denver, Milwaukee under 241.5 and the Warriors Magic over 209.5. So really good stuff. Should be ahead of all of those lines. We are coming into this slate on 5 of 6 winning days. It has been a dominant stretch. If you want access to all of the picks, come join us in the WHOP. You could find that linked in the YouTube video, in the podcast description, or in my Twitter bio. We will see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. for some shenanigans and a Friday slate.
Y'all subscribe to my podcast while y'all asking all these questions. Don't forget to subscribe to the pod. And if you're a kid, listen to your parents. Listen to your parents.
Listen to your parents.
Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe.
Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the pod, man.
Good, those are good.